Okay, we all ready? Exciting. So we're going to move on to our candidates for Vice President Media, so if those guys can make themselves to the stage. You're brave for wearing that coat up here. And that hat. So I'm going to give each candidate 2 minutes to address the audience. Can you introduce yourself and tell us why it's important that students vote for you?
Turn the channel on. Sorry, no, yeah.
Hello. Hey, there you go. Sweet. Hello, everyone. My name's Dan Carver, and I'm running for Vice President of Media. Thank you. I have been the station manager for Pulse for this year. Before that, I was the operations manager. Before that, I was a regular volunteer. Each year, I seem to have somehow won awards. First year, I won Media Newcomer. Second year, I won Manager of the Year. Don't know what's going to happen this year. So, yeah, students. I've spent like 3 years here at the university, and I've kept hearing the same thing from students over and over again when they go for interviews for work experience. When they don't get the job, it's always the same. They always say, oh, they didn't give me the job because I didn't have experience, so I don't get to go on work experience, which is, you know, very downheartening when you hear that. And that's because the media world is so fast. It's always moving forward, new technologies, new ways of communication, new content being churned out at breakneck speed. And I believe the job of Pulse Media is to provide that work experience so that students can go in to CJAM or any area and they can say, look, this is the experience I've got, get that dream job that they want, or the dream work experience. As station manager, I'm very happy to report that we've had some great content go out this year which has helped students who have gone to places like CJAM. They've mentioned they've volunteered with Pulse Radio, and the vast majority of them have got the placements that they want. I've learned so much as a station manager and as the operations manager, and I really do believe that we can take Pulse Media and really turn it into the go-to area for students of any course. It doesn't have to be media, it could be any course, to come here, to volunteer with us, to get the work experience that they need so that they can impress their future employees and get the dream job that they're promised. Thanks very much.
Hello, I'm Rob. I'm a software engineering student currently in the 3rd year. I've also been a course rep on current course, and I've also been a pass lead for 2 years, and I'm also the current head of music at Pulse Radio. So I wanted to kind of run through this role because I wanted to provide students from any course across the university with a chance to be involved. I feel like sometimes people look at Pulse and say, well, it's a media platform. I'm not a media student, I don't know what I'm doing, and I want to try and kind of give an opportunity for more people to get involved from a range of different courses, and try and make it so there's more people involved, not just in volunteering, but also more in terms of consuming the content that Pulse produces. So I want to try and start up like a mobile app, try and get more people knowing about Pulse and what people are making, what students are making across the university.
Thank you. So if you keep the mic. This question was submitted in advance by a student.
Okay.
How you ensure there is partnership working between the 3 media platforms to make sure all volunteers have a safe space to be expressive and creative?
I want to try and focus on sometimes going for some cross-platform content across the 3 different branches. I feel at the moment sometimes it's been a bit separate, and obviously there's content which we can produce where students from all different platforms can get involved in it. So, for example, say a website article can have a video produced by Pulse TV. Say if there's an event going on, then we can do coverage across the 3 different platforms there. So I want to try and have a bit more of a focus on that and get them working together more instead of it being quite separate.
Thank you.
Please, could you repeat the question?
Sure. How will you ensure that there is partnership between the 3 media platforms to make sure all volunteers have a safe space to be expressive and creative?
Thanks. So, as the manager for Pulse Radio this year, my ethos is to make sure that students are in control of their content. I don't get a say on what they produce. I might throw in a few ideas if they ask, but ultimately they are in control. And when students realise that they're in control, and they realise, oh, I can do pretty much whatever I want. I can make this LGBTQ talk show, or I can talk about box sets, or I can talk, and play Indian music. These are, examples of shows that we do have. It creates this really safe environment where they know that their ideas are valued, that the people that are volunteering, that are helping them, that they care about them, and that they want them to succeed. And this is the ethos that I will be carrying into the role should you elect me. I will be, just explaining to the managers as well to make sure, look, no matter what happens, the volunteers are in control of the content, and that's what we should be doing. It helps them promote this safe space. And yes, of course, we can then have a look at the possibilities of, offering the opportunities of saying, look, you have this radio show, do you want to, expand on that? Maybe go into TV, maybe go into the media, but the big thing is making sure the students are always in control of their content and making sure that they are the ones that are putting it out, so that they are feeling safe, that their ideas are, appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the audience? Dan, you've got the mic?
Yep.
How do you plan on engaging the wider student body as readers or as volunteers?
That's a good question. So, I think really it's just about putting yourself out there as the VP Media and letting people know that you're there. I've been in contact with several students. I have been in contact with some journalism courses, and each of them have said the same thing. They've all said, sorry, could you explain to me what VP Media is? I'm not too sure, I've never heard of that position. And that's crazy. We need to get, the VP Media needs to get out there and needs to make themselves heard and, needs to make sure that people know who they are. Otherwise, how can you engage with volunteers as readers or as volunteers? So, I guess the answer to my question to that would be just to let people know, look, I am here. Door's always open, inbox is always open. If there's anything you need, message me. It's what I've been doing as the manager for the radio station. It's been what I've been doing as operations manager, and it seems to be working pretty well so far.
Thank you. How do you plan on engaging the wider student body as readers or as volunteers?
Well, one thing I was thinking of running was trying to get some taster sessions open for students, so having them scheduled in plenty of time so students know about it, and they can come along, they can try doing their own radio show, they can try writing newspaper articles and find if it's for them, and then they can then choose to carry that on if they wish into to carry on as a volunteer, or if not, it's something they can say they've done and had a good time with, and having that opportunity to come along and not necessarily commit yourself to something in the first place, but being able to just have a go, see if you like it. There's no pressure on somebody kind of carrying that on, but the option is there for them, and I think that kind of would entice a lot of people who are a bit more sceptical about doing something in the first place. Kind of gives them that leeway to think, right, I'll give it a try. If I don't like it, then there's no harm done. I'm not signing myself up for anything, but at the same time, they might change, they might think, oh, that was really good, I enjoyed making a TV show, or whatever, and then they can carry that on, we can get more people involved, and kind of opens it up to more students to look at it and think, well, I'll give that a try.
Thank you. So, Rob, keep the mic. Previously, the SU discussed moving media to a staff role. How do you justify its full-time officer role?
I think as an officer you feel a bit more closer to the student rather than if it was a staff role, then it can, I think it looks like from the student's point of view, that they're staff. I think there's still a bit more of a connection between the students and the officers that are going on in the student union. So to try and keep that connection between them, I think you should really alienate the people who can get involved, the people who've got creative ideas for different forms of content, So you try and move that to a staff role. Some students might think, well, it's now feels a bit more focused on being arts only for media students to get involved in maybe, or it feels a bit then taken away from the power of the students rather to then the power of what the university and the SU wants to do.
Thank you.
Good question, sir.
Previously, the SU discussed moving media to a staff role. How do you justify its full-time officer role?
Well, because if you move it to a staff role, there is more opportunities for staff to get involved in terms of what goes out. If they don't like something going out, they can block it, which is a terrible idea. The media officer role is basically that buffer between, it sits right there in the centre. You have the student, you have the staff, and then you have the media officer, so like separates the two to make sure that, that everyone can make their content and make sure that, they're not being controlled. I mean, it's become a bit of a tradition for Pulse newspaper for an article to be released every year, which causes sort of an uproar. I think in my first year it was something about Palestine. Last year it was a men's rights activist article, and I do believe this year it was something about moving the opportunities office. And each time these articles have been written, they've caused a little bit of outrage, and some people have complained. And look, if the media officer was a staff role there who worked for the UCLan staff area, then what's to stop them from going up to the person and saying, look, we can't run with this article. I don't care if that's what you're believing. I don't care if you're asking these questions. You might upset someone. We're going to take that article away. We're going to pretend it never even existed. And as the media officer, I am completely against any kind, any censorship of the press, censorship of the radio, censorship of the TV. It is my job to ensure that if the students have something they want to say, even if it's going to ruffle a few feathers, if a student is passionate enough to want to do something and they are there and they are willing to put their voice heard, why would I want to censor that? Heck no, speak loud. And that's the reason why we need the media officer. Sorry, the VP Media. Sorry, Laura.
Can we have a big round of applause for